Clinton spoke with hatred in her heart for these working-class Americans. Absolute hatred in her heart. She looks down on the people who cook her meals, drive her cars, and dig the coal that power her electricity. Her goal is simple: to bully the American voter out of voting for change.
Yep. All right. That is so true. And joining us now is Carl Higbie, retired U.S. Navy SEAL spokesman for the Great America PAC and author of Enemies, Foreign and Domestic, a SEAL Story. There it is on your TV screen. Carl, welcome, sir.
Well, thanks for having me back, Steve.
Well, it's always great to talk to you. Okay. You know, some people have confused you with the Trump surrogate, but you're...
Well, I was at one point.
What's that?
I was a surrogate at one point.
Yes, yes. So that's why. But you're a spokesman for this PAC, Great American PAC. So let me talk to you first of all about what we're seeing. This fascination, this obsession now with Donald Trump's health. It's mind-boggling to me. Here we have one candidate who there are pictures of her needing help, holding on, getting up steps. The press isn't allowed to see her get up onto a private plane a few months ago. They had to be in their plane before she got out of her car. You know, passing out. She had blood clot, concussion in the hospital. Bill Clinton says she does this frequently. Blah, 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 blah. We don't know if she took an X-ray to be diagnosed for pneumonia. We don't know what kind of pneumonia it is. We don't know what kind of medication she's on. We don't know anything, yet all they care about is Donald Trump's health records.
Right, exactly. And, you know, this goes without saying, but, you know, when it comes to people's health, we wish no ill will on people. And I do wish Hillary Clinton, as much as I despise her policies, I do wish her the best in recovery. That said, Donald Trump has kept an unbelievable campaign pace the entire time for over a year now. I mean, this guy's running a multi-billion-dollar company, employing 20,000 people. Meanwhile, he's running around the country in, 5 different states almost a day, doing speeches and events and rallies, and he's never missed a beat. So you tell me, Steve. Yeah,
right. Well, I have told you. What's the reaction been in your circles? I know you had a closed-door kind of big event yesterday. I believe Donald Trump Jr. was there. What's been the reaction to the basket full of despicables or whatever she used?
Oh, the basket of deplorables. So,
deplorables. I keep saying despicables, yeah.
Yeah, I've been around and I've debated a few people on this on a couple other networks, and I've asked people, I said, am I hopeless or am I deplorable? And they always try to dodge the question. And I said, okay, because I'm definitely not hopeless. I was like, I think as a Navy SEAL, you're not going to call me hopeless. So I guess I'm deplorable. And although they'll try to backtrack a little bit, and I keep telling them, like, was it deplorable to drop out of college to join the military to defend our nation after 9/11? Was it deplorable to trade lead so you have the freedom of speech that I still support what you're, support you saying it, even though I don't support what you're saying? Is that deplorable? Oh, it must be the fact that I'm supporting a guy who's created jobs rather than created a deficit. Maybe that's deplorable. And, they try to backtrack out of it all they want. But this is Hillary Clinton's 47% moment. I mean, this may have put the nail in the coffin for her.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, because I think what Donald Trump did at a rally the other night was brilliant, bringing average people up and having them say they're not deplorable. And I think that, the T-shirts and the hats have already sprung up all over the place. Let's talk a little bit about what we have seen today. There's a Bloomberg, Ohio poll out where Donald Trump is now up by 5 points. We have the LA Times poll where I think he's up by 4 now, which is a daily tracking poll. He's taken the lead in the Reuters poll. I mean, and the battleground states like Ohio and others are closing, and Trump leads in some of them. So, and we haven't even seen numbers yet. I think the Ohio one might include that Hillary, passing out on 9/11.
Yeah, well, Steve, and I'm glad you brought this up, because the funny thing is there is still a number of people. These polls are of likely voters. It doesn't necessarily take into account the large number of people that have never voted before, because they're not roped into these polls. They're not called because, quite frankly, the states don't have data on them to call them. So there's a number of people out there, huge contingent, that have never voted before that are voting for Donald Trump. Additionally, Donald Trump has made a 13-point swing in a little over 40 days. That is massive. That's never been done before in the history of a presidential campaign, to my knowledge. And if you look at the tempo, we still have 54 days left. he is on his way to victory. And I don't think Hillary stands a chance when it comes to the first debate, let alone I don't know if she can even stand, period, for 2 hours. But
well, that's going to be very interesting. All right, we solicit calls on this show, Carl. 877-NEWSMAX, 877-639-7629. Let's go to our first call, second call, but first for you, Gerald from Cincinnati, Ohio. Hello, Gerald. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good, sir.
Okay, my question is, because Mark Furman did the same thing in the O.J. Simpson trial, and I'm wondering if there's some legal reason that these people testifying in Congress are taking their Fifth Amendment privilege, because we all know it as a Fifth Amendment right. And we'd have to assume that if there are 5 privileges, there must be a first privilege, a second privilege, a third privilege, and a fourth privilege. And I'd like to know what those are, too.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, the multiple privileges, but the fifth, the right to remain silent, is a constitutional right. Carl, I think Gerald's referring to something we played at the beginning of the show, my spotlight, which was the 3 IT people taking the fifth yesterday before the House Oversight Committee, and Brian Pagliano not even showing up.
Well, yeah, and absolutely, and this is it's a great question, because he did say I'll reserve my right for the Fifth Amendment privilege, and this is a fundamental understanding of people on the left and those in Hillary Clinton's camp that don't view rights as rights. They view them as privilege so they can be taken away, and I think this is a fundamental misunderstanding of the constitutional values of our country. So to take the First Amendment privilege, that they can call whatever they want, it is a right to not speak if you choose not to.
Interesting. All right, Gerald, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Let's go out to Richmond, Virginia, and say hello to Bill. Bill, you're next. Hello, sir.
Yes, who it is? This Steve?
Yes, sir.
Hey, this is Bill in Richmond, Virginia. I got 2 little questions. I know it's kind of not really what y'all are talking about right now, but, you know, Hillary Clinton talked about Donald Trump being close with David Duke and KKK and all that, and all his people were despicable or whatever we called it. And I don't understand it, because he denounced David Duke right off the bat, and David Duke endorsed him. He didn't endorse David Duke. But what nobody's mentioning is one of the grand wizards of the KKK donated $10,000 to Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Bill,
yeah.
I didn't know about the donation. I know he supported also the Communist Party leader in this country supports Hillary Clinton. You know, it's amazing, Carl. The media is obsessed with 2 things. Whenever Hillary gets in trouble, whenever there's Hillary stories to cover, and whenever, as you know, because you've been on all the shows, whenever they're getting in trouble as a CNN host or an MSNBC host, what do? What about David Duke? Or when is he going to release his taxes? Or when is he going to apologize to the Khan family? I mean, that's all they have, the same crap over and over and over again, which has all been addressed.
Yeah, it's 100% been addressed. And the other thing, too, is you have something like Donald Trump was never called racist or never called a bigot or anything before he was running as a Republican for president. I mean, this is a guy who's been embraced by the African-American community. He's been embraced by the gay community. He's been embraced by every community across the board. He's even sued cities for blacks and Jews to gain access to his Mar-a-Lago country club. So, I mean, like, I don't know where they're getting off saying that this guy's racist or homophobe or bigot or deplorable or whatever, but come on, Steve, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, and Bill and Carl, as I mentioned earlier in the show, and I've mentioned right along, and I did a whole Give Me 5 on it, Jesse Jackson. I hope the campaign gets a hold of the video that I've played from Jesse Jackson in the 90s holding an event in the snowstorm. Donald Trump goes out of his way. He attends. Jackson praises him, says he did forget the way he acts. You know, it's confusing, but he's there. He's willing to take risks for underprivileged people and minorities. He donated space for the Rainbow Coalition. He supported, to an extent, Jesse Jackson when he ran for president. He said, well, others thought I was a joke. So they were praising the hell out of Donald Trump, and yet Hillary keeps saying he's a racist.
Yeah, and I think Hillary's in for a rude awakening, because Donald Trump right now holds more of the African-American vote than McCain and Romney combined.
Yes, we addressed that in the previous segment. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go quickly to Ian from Oceanside, New York. Hello, Ian.
Yeah, hi. That basket of deplorables just might, because it's not 100 people at a town hall. He's filling stadiums like Elton John, beating records everywhere. So that is a very bad statement against a majority of people in America. It wasn't like Hillary, where you get 10 people here or 10 where you don't call anybody that, especially when you're running for president. But this is in her mind. This is the way they are. And it's unfortunate for Trump, because here's a businessman that they built the whole show around him. He's so successful at picking out good jobs that they put him in charge. And Omarosa was on the show, and she's voting for Trump because he's fair. He doesn't get his kids a $600,000 job as a journalist when she's like
right on NBC on NBC. Ian, gotta go. Please call again. Thanks for calling and watching, and of course to Carl Higbie. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care. All right, folks. Coming up next, it's going to be Gimme 5 and some very touching moments as well. You're not going to want to miss it. You're watching America Talks Live right here on Newsmax Television. I'm Steve Malzberg. Do not go away.